everybody? Sean Chandler here. I am here to talk about movies and TV and give you some uninformed thoughts from a dumb communicator who will leave you frustrated. I love to talk movies and TV, but I want to talk movies and TV with you. For that reason, I've brought my lovely wife is the correct word for what she is. Wife to help me with the chat room. She'll be kind of interacting with you, collecting some questions, a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this live streaming stuff just quite right. As you might be able to tell if you've checked in for a few of these before, my camera is new. It is different. It is a Logitech C922. If you're wondering, you can get them on Amazon. You can get them all over the place if you want to. Apparently, they're pretty good. I guess we'll find out right now. Thank you for this experiment with me. Like I said, we'll take some questions at the end of this, so if you have any, throw them in the chat section. My wife will read them to me. After I talk about stuff, if you have some thoughts, go ahead and throw it in the chat board. I'm going to check with my wife on things, and maybe we can interact a little bit on that. There is a 30-second delay. I'm trying to figure out ways to increase the quality and make things run a little bit smoother on your end, so hopefully that will work. And as a fun question for the day, as we're interacting a little bit, I always have this question: do I have an accent? Do people notice me talking in a distinctly United Statesian accent? Tell me in the comment section. I'm always fascinated by the different way people talk. Like, my brother heard my wife talk. He talked to us for a little bit. She won't do it. My brother accused her of sounding like Foghorn Leghorn. Apparently she sounds quite southern. I've never noticed it, but he's not from Texas, so apparently he would pick up on those sorts of things a little bit more than I would. Thank you guys so much for watching. With all that said, if you could read our first question of the day.
This past week, the CW crossed over all 4 of their Arrowverse TV shows with the part series Invasion. What were your final thoughts on the crossover event?
So this whole week, if you haven't noticed this, I watched, reviewed, and did like a live reaction to each one of the shows right after it aired, other than The Flash, which ironically was the best one of the bunch. And I was not expecting this. The first video, I kind of put an inflammatory thumbnail on it. I suggested the show might be crap in the thumbnail. Apparently, the fans don't like that, and it's the most disliked video on my channel. But all of the videos got quite a few dislikes, which is interesting. I liked the crossover. I liked these shows. I enjoyed what they were trying to do. I thought they did a lot of things really well. I thought they did some things not as well. And I think there's a lot that they learned from what they did. And the biggest problem I think they ran into is that they tried to mesh a few too many things into it. So it was the 100th episode of Arrow. So one of the episodes in this crossover event really was just an Arrow tribute episode, which was a good Arrow episode, maybe the best in 2 seasons. Not such a great crossover episode. When I think crossover episode, I'm not thinking a bunch of people taking a nap, dreaming about spending time together, meeting at parties and stuff. So not a great crossover episode, but a really enjoyable episode. Still tons of dislikes on all of these videos, but it was a really neat event, and some of the best episodes of each of these shows in quite a while. It was fascinating to me just how much the discussion got lively. I was thinking I might get some very angry, mean-spirited comments directed towards me. I didn't actually get too many of those. One person did suggest I was Hitler. I think they might have been joking, as I haven't done too many things in the vein of Hitler. But like, this guy's worse than Hitler. Like, wow. Comment sections are very interesting. So it got quite lively. I think we have some actual footage from the comment section. I shared this the other day. Thought I would share it with you guys one more time of me interacting with some of the fans of these shows who were not crazy about what I was saying. So like I said, it got pretty lively in there. Lots of fighting, back and forth, some discussion, lots of disagreement. Overall, I thought it was a very cool thing that they did that they could have done better. They made some just fundamental mistakes, but good idea, good effort. Let's improve next time. Let's learn from my mistakes. Of course, I'm not foolish enough to think they will. I'm pretty sure the next one probably won't be as good when they try this again. With all that said, did we have anyone in the comment section joining in just yet?
Alter the Stream just said he doesn't think there's much of an accent.
All right, not much of an accent. I'm from California. I was born in California, moved to Austin, Texas, which was very much a mix, lots of different cities. People from all over the place moved there. Like in our case, we moved from California to Texas. Both of my parents are from Colorado, so I guess it's probably fair to say that my accent probably is not going to be too thick. With that said, what is our next question?
We had a question about Arrow. Do you want me to do that now or later?
Real quick, I guess if it's on Arrow.
Next Arrowverse crossover you'd want to see?
Honestly, I don't necessarily have one in mind. I think there's a lot of things they could do with the time travel that they've worked into it, and they've indicated that creates big, gigantic stakes. That has big consequences. And so the idea of bringing all these worlds together into time travel and time deal into something with that, immediately it has stakes, it has weight. It's one of the few things on the show that on these shows that actually carries forward, and they're like, "Ooh, you screwed this up, so let's take that seriously." So I think they could do something like that. Very much so. I think a direction you could go is the most powerful enemies in this kind of world are on Supergirl's planet, because there's Kryptonians and lots of them, and they keep appearing, and there's more of them, and there's a lot more aliens there. And now that Supergirl has the device to set things up to transform worlds easier, naturally there's also a bridge to, she's feeling overwhelmed, so she goes and gets all of them, brings them over to her planet. And so then you already have Superman there. You got Martian Manhunter, and they've teased that there might be a Batman here. There's a lot of really big, cool things you could do if you bring them over to her world and fight big aliens, but not faceless aliens. That's kind of the problem with alien invasion type stories, is that you've got a bunch of like aliens that you can't interact with. The Kryptonians speak English, apparently. That's the language of their planet as well. You've got all these other aliens that also speak English, so you bring them all together. Great opportunity for big, gigantic showdown, and perhaps we could have learned a little bit more. You give Oliver some kryptonite, so he's got kryptonite arrows. They've got other technology to where they could do some really cool stuff, would be my thought. With that, let's move on to our next official question of the day.
The first teaser for the teaser trailer for the Tom Cruise remake The Mummy debuted a couple days ago. Are you excited for The Mummy?
So I forgot to move my microphone over. I decided to get a drink instead. If you didn't hear that, basically asking, they dropped the teaser for the teaser trailer for the remake of The Mummy starring Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe a few days ago. Am I excited for it? Not at all. I have no interest in this movie at all. I didn't like the Brendan Fraser movies. Like, they're fun enough. Like, if they're on, I'm not bored. I'm not hating my life. But I'm never the one that's been like, hey, let's watch the Mummy movies. Maybe when one of them came out, I was like, I'll see that in the theater. But they're not my thing at all. And I would think they would be, because I like the Indiana Jones movies, so they're like dumber Indiana Jones kind of. But so then they're doing them again, or remaking The Mummy, doing blockbuster take on it. But the thing is, I really don't understand what they're going for here, because they're doing big, gigantic franchise with The Mummy, and they put Tom Cruise in it. And the problem with that is Tom Cruise is, I believe, 54 years old. Russell Crowe, he's like 53, 52 himself. These guys are in their 50s. They are not fresh franchise bait for blockbusters. When it comes to blockbusters, formula is pretty simple. You just start off with someone that's still young, pretty, and appealing to young people. You try and catch the wave. You get Chris Pratt right before he becomes Chris Pratt, and then we get 2 summers in a row with him in big, gigantic films. You do that. That's what you do. So remaking a property from the 30s and then the late 90s into zeros into the nows, and you launch it with a bunch of guys in their 50s. I don't understand what they're going for. So you got a franchise I'm not terribly interested in, and kind of appreciated the dumbness of the Brendan Fraser ones. Not my thing, but it's a dumb property to make a movie out of, so you make it dumb. I understand that. A more serious take is what it feels like, with Russell Crowe's like a serious actor. I maybe someone can remind me of something that I've forgotten about. Has he ever done something kind of silly? I mean, I don't like, he's just like this kind of serious actor that just seems really intense all the time. You put him in The Mummy. You put Tom Cruise in there. It doesn't seem like the environment that with Tom Cruise can be a great actor, but he's kind of chosen to not do that anymore. He's chosen to do action movies, the midlife crisis action movies, and hang dangle from planes, and very successful in Edge of Tomorrow. I mean, great movie. Mission Impossible movies going strong. Jack Reacher, not so much. But his thing is that he's charming, he's fun, he can do that. So this seems like an odd choice to me. I don't understand it all. I'm not excited about it. Jennifer, do you have any thoughts on this? Any excitement about The Mummy?
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever. I mean, that's based off of our sample size right here. 100% of people on planet Earth are not excited about this movie. And I don't know who's supposed to be excited about this. I can't imagine if I were to talk to, the many teenagers I know, college students I know, like, hey man, are you excited about The Mummy? No, not really. But it's got Tom Cruise, that guy from the Mission Impossible movies. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. I never understood it with, like, I heard people talking about, oh, but they're recruiting talent for it. They're getting actual really good actors for this. Doesn't that excite you? No, I want Russell Crowe doing stuff that's serious, that's real. I want Tom Cruise to get back into real acting, and once every few years put out a Mission Impossible movie until he's like, I'm gonna go into space and I'm gonna jump, and then he dies making a mission. Like, until that happens, I want him making Mission Impossible movies and becoming a serious actor again. I don't want them in this. Like, this is why we have young actors, to star in things like this so they can make a name for themselves, so everybody knows about them, and then they become serious actors that do indie projects like Chris Evans is doing. He became Captain America. He does Captain America movies every few years, and then he stars in indie films and directs indie films and things like that. That's what I think he should be doing. Do we have any questions on this one, comments?
Matique said that The Nice Guys wasn't all that serious of a role.
I have not seen that one yet, so perhaps if I saw that one, it could give me a different perspective on it, but I have not seen it this year. I went straight for blockbusters this summer, and so that one did not have a big enough budget with enough explosions in it. I'm part of the problem. I'm one of the people that's the reason that movie did not do as well. So if you're wondering who those people are that didn't go see that original film with great reviews, with great actors, I'm one of them. Point your finger at me, but I haven't seen it, so I need to check that one out, and perhaps it'll help me change my thinking a little bit about that one. Any other comments on it?
Hopefully that thing in the trailer, whatever it is, isn't Enchantress 2.0.
It's a Suicide Squad. So my wife hasn't seen Suicide Squad. She wants to watch it tonight. It was her most anticipated movie. Is that correct? No. Apparently she does not want to see this movie at all. So she hasn't seen it, so doesn't quite understand the reference. Basically, the bad guy in Suicide Squad is a witch that, like, dances and stuff.
Smoke girl.
And she smokes. No, it's not that she smokes.
I don't know.
Oh. But she's like dancing, and there's a cloud that flies over, and it's just awful. I mean, it's just terrible. And there's all these kinds of things in Suicide Squad that could be really good, and then this awful villain in it that is not good at all. What is our next question?
The rumor mill is running wild with the stories of Amy Schumer writing and starring in a movie based on the classic toy doll Barbie. What are your thoughts?
I was actually really glad that this information dropped last night because, I'm just trying to understand what the thought process is. In the article about it, this is what it described, it furthering more information about what this project was going to be. And it said this: a contemporary spin on beauty, feminism, and identity. Barbie. So Amy Schumer, I'm not familiar with her TV show, her stand-up comedy. I know the general idea. It rated R comedy. Look, hey, a woman can be just as crass and promiscuous as a man. Hey, I'm Amy Schumer. That's my understanding of it. Very simplified. I haven't seen Trainwreck. I know it's a Judd Apatow production, so I'll probably laugh at it and hate it at the same time if I were to see it. And when you're thinking of what's the best kind of launching pad for making a movie about a movie for little girls, I've got a 2-year-old, turns 3 very soon, terrifying. And I'm starting to think, what do I want to shape her worldview? Who's the person that I want to be a role model and help her understand her identity? Things that don't come to mind are either Barbie unrealistic expectations of beauty, or Amy Schumer, star of a Judd Apatow film. Like, these are two things that don't come to mind, as well as Amy Schumer's worldview. I've just little blurbs of her in my Facebook feed of her making comments about things, her chiming in on stuff, and me just seeing what she has to say, her response to like going off on political like rants during stand-up. And she clearly has a worldview that she wants to share. And it looks like a Hollywood executive went, I want to help Amy Schumer use her or take her worldview and we'll package it in Barbie and we'll try and push it out to little girls. And that's what the description says. A contemporary spin on beauty, feminism, and identity. That's my understanding of what Amy Schumer does. She tries to like redefine beauty, tries to redefine the role of women, the role of what identity is, all these different deals. All of this with a Barbie package. I mean, like, I just look at it and I go, what? That is such a bizarre thing to do. But beyond that, that seems to be what Hollywood likes to do, is find ways to package their worldview in movies and ship it along to kids. And as I've said many times, I'm a Christian, and I've talked about it before. Christian movies drive me insane because it's, all right, we've got a message we want to like send to people. What's a plot that can communicate it? And it's bad storytelling because it starts with a message and then you build a story to like try and proselytize and convert people and tell it to people. And what do we need to do to set things up so at the end of the day, people know where we stand? And now they're doing that with Barbie. And as long as we're talking about contemporary views of beauty, feminism, and identity, and trying to have this big, deeper message, I would think if you're trying to like find what do we do with all those different things, the consumerism, there's all kinds of things you could do with Barbie, a product, and then using a big corporation and a big budget and a big star to try and package that for people. There's all kinds of things you could go after here. Amy Schumer redefining beauty, feminism, and identity is not the direction that I would tend to go with this. Buddy, come on in. We're live on the internet. Here. Real quick. What do you think about Barbie? Any thoughts? No, he didn't have any thoughts. Did we get any questions, feedback, comments in the chat board?
All through the streams, it's because of the Lego movie.
Is that your take too, buddy, because of the Lego movie?
Yes.
Yes. So, that's kind of what I would assume. The Lego movie has now messed things up for the next 10 years as studios go, look, you can take a property that doesn't seem obvious to tell a story and you can just cram all sorts of stuff into it and send a message to kids. And the way they're doing that is to take someone that has an extreme message, not like a casual message about use your creativity and dads, let your kids be creative. Son, be creative. Use Legos to build unique things. Don't just stick to the rules and glue it together. Like, not just that, but Amy Schumer has a very strong worldview that she believes in, that she wants to send to children like my daughter through Barbie, which is just bizarre to me. Did we have any other comments on it, or just move on to our next question?
Yes.
The next question. After over a year of development on Star Trek Discovery, they have finally announced the first 3 cast members. Is this a good sign for the series?
So if you haven't been tracking this, they announced about a year ago that they're going to launch a new Star Trek TV show on CBS Now, I think is what it's called, but it's their streaming their streaming service. And it's not going to be on CBS the TV series, it's only going to be on this service. And they announced this, I think, last December, quite a while ago. And then they had no cast information. They made like little blurbs like, hey, the lead character is not going to be the captain of the ship. Hey, we're going to have a gay character and we're going to be more diverse than ever. And like nothing else. That's all the name of it. And they had so little that they'd announced. And then about a month ago, the guy that was developing it, Bryan Fuller, who worked on like the show Hannibal. So I watched a little bit of Hannibal and I thought it was really cool. But when you got a 2-year-old son at the time, it's like, probably shouldn't watch the TV show about people being skinned alive and eating other people with my son around. So I never actually finished it. But very creative, cool show, visually, very much a vision towards it. So this guy working on Star Trek seemed like it was going to be a really cool idea until it was like, we're not going to have the lead be the captain. That's like all they had. That's all that we had about this. So little information, no casting, and we're a year into it. We just got our first casting, Michelle Yeoh as the captain, who apparently is only a recurring character. She's not like a regular cast member, which I'm not quite sure if that's the case. I think I read that. That's pretty cool. I like Michelle Yeoh from the movie Super Cop. She was in a James Bond movie that was pretty cool. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Don't know what she's been up to for the last 15 years, but I like her, and I think that's pretty cool. She's going to be in Star Trek. I'm all for that. And then 2 people I'd never heard of before, didn't look familiar. They'd been in a few things I'd kind of seen before. And then they also, through an interview, we discovered Bryan Fuller, the guy that was the showrunner that had been developing it, totally out. He has nothing to do with the show anymore. And someone else had to step in, and they said things like, we're going to honor the vision that you set. Something that, sounded like total nonsense. Let's shake your hands and try and put on a good face and put positive spin on this, but not the good news at all. And that's where we're at. So is this good news? No. As a Star Trek fan who loves the movies, loves several of the TV shows, was very excited about a 21st century Star Trek TV show that doesn't start off with a pop song. This show is, everything they're releasing just is making me less and less excited about it. More and more going, ooh, man, I don't know about this. I just don't know if this is coming together. And it all ties back to the fact that there's so little information in big, gigantic flip-flops in development. All of that screams to me warning signs. Those are not good indicators that a show is on the right path when they have so little information, so few pictures released, so few cast information, production design, teasers. They have so little after a year on a project that they're wanting to use to spearhead launching their online, not launching their online platform, but like this is going to be the thing that's going to get people to go and use their CBS app. And everything they're announcing just seems so small. Some of the cast, not a cast photo, just so little information. And then I look at the people they announced. One of the 3, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But it's kind of like one of those. It's not like amazing information. Like they got some of those, like, oh, that's incredible that they got. I don't even know who they'd pick. Someone that just has nerd cred, that has a certain level of up and coming vibe to them, that you'd be pumped about it. No, it's Michelle Yeoh, a perfectly fine actress that if she was one of the people in the mix of people they announced, she'd be like, oh, that's awesome. But no, it's her as the exciting piece of information alone, and then 2 people, I don't know who they are. So none of this feels good to me. I don't have a good vibe about this show right now. It feels like they're just things are struggling behind the scenes. They have very little they can say. So all they can really say is appeal to Star Trek's origins, which is when the show first started, it was very progressive. And so then we're going to be even more progressive. And then they announced something like we're going to have a gay character, which it's the year 2016. What TV show doesn't have a gay character? It's like, oh, wow, you're doing exactly what every TV show does these days. Have you ever watched the CW? Like, this is not what we call progressive anymore. This is baseline what TV shows do. So nothing about this by their scorecard, by my scorecard, by normal trends of tracking along, trying to develop a TV show. None of it seems good to me. None of it, and they haven't announced anything that would make me excited. What would make me excited about Star Trek being progressive, being on a spaceship, and the captain is not the star? Why would any of that be something that would get anybody excited? I honestly don't know, because all of that seems so minuscule information, such not high concept at all. It's not, Deep Space Nine. They're on So go through all of them. You've got the first show was interesting because it was this exploratory space show. Pretty cool. And we're going to have a bunch of diversity in the cast. Second TV show, it's same universe. It's set 78 years later. All right, that's pretty cool. Deep Space Nine. Now they're on a space station. All right, that's kind of cool. That's kind of different. There was a war in it. That's kind of different. Then Voyager. They're off in a different quadrant, launched all by themselves, not with everyone else. That's kind of cool. So not all of these were fully successful, but there's an interesting concept to them that you could summarize in a sentence. I probably should have written them down or thought through them a little bit better before trying to do this video, but there was a concept to them here. The captain's not the lead, it's the number one, so you get to know the crew a little bit better. Okay, that is not... Wow, I've been waiting 15 years for a new Star Trek series, and the captain's not the lead, and it's going to be progressive, and it's not going to be on TV, it's only going to be on a streaming service, so that's annoying. Nothing about this has me excited. Any comments in the comment section for us?
Just that it was originally premiering in January, then March.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot. Yeah. Right, it was supposed to debut a month from now. That's the biggest one about this. Like the big two things that are like, this is a really bad sign. Well, three things. It was supposed to debut in January, and they're like pushed it back to May, I think, by now. They have nothing to announce about what's going on with it, and the showrunner probably was fired, and he's kind of the visionary for it. Like, that's all really bad signs. This is like normal TV shows. The traditional model for it is they make a pilot, and this is Star Trek's the ultimate example of it. They make a pilot, they see if it works. If it works, they go to series and they order 6 more episodes, 13 more episodes. If it's amazing, 12 new episodes. Or if they think, this didn't work, but we need to adjust this, they order a second pilot or they tweak the pilot. So that's what happened with Star Trek. They did a pilot called The Cage. It didn't have Captain Kirk in it. It did have Spock. It didn't have Bones. And so they bring Spock over. It had Captain Pike was the lead guy in it. They change it up. They do Where No Man Has Gone Before. They go, all right, we really like this. And then the rest is history. The new MacGyver show, which I don't like, based off the one episode I saw, they shot a pilot, it didn't work, they redid the pilot, and that's what they went with. That's what TV shows normally do, and that's kind of the way they do that. With this one, they went, we're just going to make this show. We're going to run and do it. Following kind of the HBO model is essentially what they're doing, or the Netflix model. And they can't pull it together. Like, clearly they are struggling. They don't have a vision. Things are not working quite right. And we are left with this Star Trek series that seems like a mess. Any other comments on it? Wife, did you have any thoughts on it as the casual Star Trek fan that has become the fan through me?
I do not.
Liam, did you have any thoughts? Tell me. Shoot. That is a weird direction to go with your comment. All right. If you guys have any thoughts on Star Trek, tell me in the comment section. We can talk about it. Also, throw some questions down there. We'll answer them. But as for our question of the day, what is it?
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
That is
Die Hard, a Christmas movie.
Oh, thanks, buddy. So, last night I went to go see Die Hard. Oh, excuse me. I've got a case of the burps. Went to go see Die Hard at the local theater with my wife. We do this, I believe, every December. When you live in Austin, Texas, there's a ton of these brew house and draft house theaters where they can serve you like a pizza, a burger. They have built into their place taps, and so they're serving adult beverages. And they show first-run movies, but they also show whatever movies they think people will show up to. So, come Christmas time, they show Die Hard. So I've seen Die Hard in the theater like 3 times or something like that, which is awesome to live in a city where this is possible and they do stuff like this all the time. So the question that comes to mind for the day, because I think I'm going to do a Die Hard analysis or review this upcoming week, but is Die Hard a Christmas movie? What's your answer?
Absolutely.
She gives an absolutely. So I think the question you have to answer before you can answer whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie is what qualifies as a Christmas movie. I believe there's kind of 2 different directions you could go with that. Direction number 1 is a Christmas movie is a movie where Christmas ties into it. Die Hard takes place in December at a Christmas party. and it features some Christmas music, and people keep talking about Christmas music, and you see Christmas lights. So, if a Christmas movie is just a movie that takes place around Christmas with Christmassy type things going on, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. That's right, buddy. Thank you. On the other hand, this new camera has a much wider lens, so it makes me look... It looks interesting when I do that. On the other hand, another definition of a Christmas movie would be a movie where Christmas is central to the nature of the plot. It is all about the celebration of Christmas, the traditions of Christmas, the Santa Claus of Christmas. And so you think about A Christmas Story, and it is specifically about a family and their Christmas traditions, opening presents on Christmas Day. You think about a movie like Elf, that's about an elf that's actually a man, and he's hanging out with old Kris Kringle, and then he comes to New York. But Christmas is all in this deal, and he's got to help Santa Claus. And so you could see why some people would go, if we got Elf and we got Die Hard, and these are both a Christmas movie, what exactly is a Christmas movie, and does this term really mean anything significant? That's a reasonable point to make in light of the fact that one of them is a movie where a lot of people get shot in the chest and blood sprays everywhere, and the other one involves Buddy the Elf eating lots of candy and loving candy canes and Christmas. I would argue that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. The simple fact of the matter is trying to define exactly when is Christmas central to the plot and when is it not is very difficult to do fairly. It becomes very tricky and you start making nuances. So like, is Home Alone a Christmas movie? Is Christmas central to the plot? Well, yeah, it says around Christmas time and his family's heading off on Christmas vacation. And that's why they leave. Yeah, but it's just a movie about a kid left at home and robbers breaking into his house that takes place in December. Christmas is not central to the plot. It could be set at Thanksgiving, in which case we're going to travel to Paris in order to celebrate Thanksgiving, and they leave him home behind. There's slightly less snow, and there's less Christmas trees around, and there's a different mechanism by which robbers are like asking about when people are leaving town. So suddenly, if Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, then Home Alone's not a Christmas movie. Well, that doesn't sound quite right. So I would tend to be generous in declaring whether movies are Christmas movies if Christmas has a strong presence. Now it gets even trickier. Lethal Weapon takes place around Christmas. You see Riggs, he goes out and he's buying a Christmas tree and some cocaine, as I do every December. And you see this kind of unfold where this is very much a movie taking place in December around Christmas. Is that a Christmas movie? Well, it takes place in Los Angeles, and so there's not a whole lot of snow in California, so it feels significantly less Christmassy. It's a lot easier to forget this movie takes place at Christmas. So is it not a Christmas movie? You have to ask a lot of these hard questions in life. I don't feel like Lethal Weapon is a Christmas movie, but based off the reasoning that I say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, Lethal Weapon should be a Christmas movie. But based off these same standards, it would seem that we'd be questioning whether Home Alone is a Christmas movie, and clearly Home Alone is a Christmas movie. These are the hard questions in life that we must deal with. Did anyone in the comment section have any thoughts on this?
Yes, but I have to add that Die Hard took place in Los Angeles as well. You were talking about Lethal Weapon being in LA.
Yes, that is true. I guess Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie.
That is not my point.
That is clearly your point.
Someone asked, here's a slightly harder question. Is Gremlins a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
Ooh. I have not watched Gremlins recently enough to be able to have adequate thoughts on it. I tend to, when it comes to Halloween movies, I tie it straight to the day of Halloween. And is Gremlins set on Halloween? I assume you're asking if it's a Christmas movie because it's set around Christmas. So naturally, I would tend towards it being a Christmas movie, not a Halloween movie. When I think about Halloween movies, I think about the movie Halloween, which is set on the day of Halloween. I think about movies like, which one was coming to mind? Ernest Scared Stupid, of course. And of course, Luther, about Martin Luther, because he nailed his 95 Theses onto the door on October 31st. And so clearly that too is a Halloween movie. Any other comments on the subject? Did you want to chime in any more? Did you have any thoughts on it? We're going to go with no on that one. All right, did we have any questions come in? Did anyone have anything they wanted to ask today?
I don't think so. Matique said that he would love to see the original Die Hard in the theater.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like the stuff that a lot of the theaters around here do, they very regularly have movie events. So, for example, when Expendables 2 came out, the local theater, Alamo Drafthouse, did, and there's like 8 Alamo Drafthouse in the Austin area, so these are all over the city. They did an event called Van Dammage where they showed 4 different Jean-Claude Van Damme movies: Bloodsport, Lionheart, Universal Soldier. What was the other one? I don't know. There's one other one, but they showed, maybe the 4th one was actually Expendables, Expendables 2. But they do stuff like that all the time, and they did like a big show involving it. A couple months ago, we saw Star Trek 2 down on the main strip in downtown Austin in like a very fancy 100-year-old theater, and William Shatner came out and did a Q&A. And they do this stuff all the time. And so I'm sure they did some event related to Harry Potter. I mean, it's very cool to get to see. And here, it's not just getting to see the movie projected real big. I mean, you can go out and rent a projector, spray paint your wall white, and have a big screen and have fun with that. It's not that. It's that you're seeing the movie in a crowded room of people that love this movie. It's like when we saw Star Trek 2 and William Shatner had just spoken to the room and he's like, "Bye, everybody," and then they start up Wrath of Khan. I mean, as soon as William Shatner appears on the screen, everyone goes, "Ah!" and goes nuts. But my wife over here, that's how pumped he was about it. Like, she's taking selfies with William Shatner in the background. Like, this is a room full of people pumped to see this movie. I mean, they're cheering throughout the movie as things happen. And you forget sometimes how funny some of these movies are because you don't just sit down and watch them in a room full of people, and the energy and the emotion of it kind of comes out. Like, we watched Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade like a year ago, and I'd forgotten just how funny this movie is. And you're in a room full of people, and you're just laughing, and you're just having so much fun. All of the excitement, the energy, the humor is amplified as soon as all of you're with a room full of people experiencing all of that at the same time. Anyone to chime in with anything else? Or are we ready to...
Would you rather watch the next 2 Star Wars anthology movies tomorrow or the next 5 MCU movies tomorrow?
MCU movie tomorrow.
Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I would, if I had to pick between watching the next 2 Star Wars stories ones, or it doesn't matter. Star Wars
anthology.
Or MCU movies, without question, I would go with the Star Wars movies. I'm not very excited in any sort of unique sense about upcoming Marvel movies at this point, MCU movies. And that is not a criticism. That's really almost a compliment. It's to say that they've pumped out so much stuff that's high quality. They've done so many great things that I don't have an excitement. I know what I'm going to get. And somewhat the way they've been able to do that is they've perfected a formula. And so you can take something really weird like Doctor Strange or this kid over here, and you run it through the formula, and suddenly you've got a blockbuster ready to crank out nice and simple. Whereas with Star Wars, I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know if Rogue One's going to be awesome. I don't know if Rogue One is going to be awful. I don't know if it's going to be truly unique and interesting.
Can you check the mic? They say it's crackly.
Has it been crackly throughout, or it's
Just started.
interesting? Sometimes my CPU is hitting 100%, and so that could be part of it. honestly, I'm trying to figure out which things to improve this, the quality of this whole deal. So thank you guys for telling me about that. But I don't know what I'm going to get from Star Wars. Buddy, if you could not do that, that'd be great. I do know what I'm going to get from the MCU. Like, I don't know specifically what Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is going to be like, what it's going to be about. But I know what Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is going to be. Maybe they'll blow my mind. They'll find a way. They've done that many times before. But I don't have reason to think that they're going to just shock me with how amazing and fresh and new some of this stuff is, because they've just created a template of stuff that's all very good. It's all kind of interesting, but not super interesting. And it's all very entertaining. Even the bad stuff, it's still entertaining. But they're not taking big, gigantic... The formula is so good, the template for it is so good, they're not really taking big risks anymore. They've found a way to do risky projects and crunch it through a formula that makes it safe. So, yeah, I would definitely pick Star Wars stuff. Now, if you told me that the 2 movies I was getting with were... Well, we'll see what happens with Rogue One. But if the movies I'm going to get are Han Solo and Boba Fett, I might start changing my tune. That's where I'm not super interested in just kind of like, hey, what was Boba Fett up to 2 months before Empire Strikes Back? Hey, look, Han Solo, look what he... That kind of has me worried, because there's a lot more risk than there is benefit in those types of deals, because even if it's great, well, it's not going to be better than what we got before. And with Boba Fett, I don't want to know a bunch of new information about him. Like all the stuff about him in the prequels and being a clone, that makes him way less cool. Not as interesting. And I don't want more of that. Anything else? Questions?
I did just confirm that it was 3 movies followed by Expendables 2.
Okay. All right, with all that, Liam, buddy, come over here. We got to close out so you can get your final moment. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it means the world to me that you guys would choose to watch this, that you want to have, that you care about my opinion. Thank you guys much for asking questions. Continue on. If you're watching this later in the mix, we can talk in the comments section. I can interact with you. I always love to talk movies. I don't want to just talk about movies. I want to talk about movies with you in the comments section. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, this is my live show where I talk more flippantly about these are all the wrong F word. Flow less naturally. I haven't put less thought into it. I can't come up with the word because I'm live and my son is sitting in my lap. Normally my kid's not running around on my other videos, but this is the fun one where you get to know me a little bit better, where my kid runs in the room sometimes, where my wife helps me out sometimes. Running the chat board means the world to me. Please consider clicking that subscribe button. Thanks, buddy. That's right. What else should they do?
Click the like button.
Click the like button. That's true. Don't click the dislike button like all the people did on those Arrowverse episodes. I've got a heart too, and you rip it out of my soul every time you click that dislike button. Actually, just kidding. I put some of those videos up just because I want to stir the pot and poke people. High five. All right, let's end with a little bit more footage from the chat board.